Thank you for joining us today. We are happy to see so many attendants. We just want to introduce ourselves. My name is Salome Puri. I'm part of the Modena infrastructure team, the infrastructure account manager. And your presenter today will be Jacques Petersen. He's our applications engineer in the infrastructure department. At the end of the presentation, there will be a survey available. If we can please just do the survey for us. If it's not at the end of the presentation, you will receive it via email. I would also like to ask any questions, if you can add it to the Q&A box at the bottom, or any comments, if you can add to the chat group. And then Jacques will get to the questions just after the presentation. We will just be doing a quick poll. Just some 3 questions, just to know who is attending with us. Okay, the first one is, which civil infrastructure software are you currently using? I'll just give it a few seconds. Thank you, and just want to share the results with you. It seems like we've got a few civil users, and then we've got a lot of other software packages. Just want to do the next one. Are you currently using BIM360 for your civil projects in your company? Okay, we'll be ending the poll. Okay, so you will be quite excited to see what we are presenting today for the civil infrastructure side. Okay, and then the last one, I'd like to see in civil department. If there's anything that is not on here, you are more than welcome to add it to the chat group, and then we will be looking into that. Thank you so much for the participation in this. We will definitely be looking into these. And I'm going to hand it over to Jacques, and he is going to walk through the presentation.
Thank you so much, Salome. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the introduction to Civil 3D and BIM360. So during this entire week, there was already a few webinars regarding BIM360 docs, as well as BIM360 design. So for today, we're going to start how to go and define BIM360 design in the civil department. Now, the critical question that we always need to ask is, why BIM360 for infrastructure? So the main reason why I'm going to explain is because it's now the core of all of our projects using the ASC credential. When it's ranging from the design department inside of the planning stages, all the way to the operation in between to maintain and manage data collaboration inside of the cloud system, as well as producing a certain amount of requirements that's required on site, which is part of the building function to simulate and construct. So just to give everybody a clear indication, if the guys does not know what BIM360 product, is actually out there. So to just quickly sum it up, when you've got your BIM360 products, we've got 4 different categories. There are the ones that's called BIM360 docs, as well as design, coordinate, and build. Now, why is this important for us? So let me just give you a quick overview of what each of them are, so you can get a better feel and understanding where it will come into your company. So for BIM360 docs, it's basically the entry point for the BIM360 platform, and it provides control data and document management for all project information, ranging from design all the way to construction. The project workflows are supported in 3 processes: management and offerings. Now, the second one is the BIM360 design docs. So this is the central one over here. And this allows us to collaborate across multidisciplinary design firms and coordinate of deliverables. To give you a more practical type of an example, this is where civil engineers, structural engineers, architects needs to collaborate their model functionality inside of the BIM360 docs. Then we've got a BIM360 Collaborator, which allows teams to coordinate multiple discipline models and to automate tasks such as model aggression and clash detection. We are having a specific webinar on Friday, if the guys are interested in seeing exactly what this entails. Then we've got finally BIM360 Build, which actually provides teams with a capability to manage RFIs, submittals, as well as execute quality and safety management programs during construction phases. Each of these subscriptions includes a set of BIM360 platform modules, along with access to classic BIM360 solutions to ensure that the customers can continue to use the products they are using today and the projects without disturbance. So, just to give you guys a clear overview of how the entire workflow chart actually works inside of BIM360. So let's say, for example, we've got a current project or a newly found project. The workflow is very similar, the same. So just a quick overview. It always has to start with the project setup in the beginning, where in the project setup, we specify the details of the project, and then we actually go and define some teams to that setup. So that's what we do in team setup itself. And then we go into and actually collaborating our InfraWorks cloud models or work sharing and publishing elements to BIM360, where of course you've got the ability to do authoring tools and integrations, as well as then you can move down the entire working cycle. So if you do say, for example, create and share and do these packages with your fellow engineers or even contractors on site, you can do some reviews, markups, and issues, as well as publish document sets and do even further clash detection, as well as doing some constructability reviews, cost management, document approvals. And then finally, those document approvals can be linked to mobile access in the field, especially for our construction guys inside of the field that needs to physically build the roads and the infrastructure and even for the buildings. So upon that, you can also go back and do your RFITs, safety management, project level reporting, performance analysis, as well as communicating data between each parties. And even after the entire process has been done, you still can come back to using these functionality sites inside of BIM360 for as-built reflections, as well as built-in maintenance, communications, and instructions. So this is just to give you guys a better feel of what can be achieved inside of the BIM360 platform, for those who does not know what it all entails. Then I want to start discussing, for example, inside of BIM360, there are fellow ways of bringing in data. Now, you're not limited to just drawings. You can bring in your 3D models. You can bring in any type of Word functionality or Microsoft functionalities itself, as well as some external data sources if you're not using any of those types. So just to put in retrospect, where does 2D drawings come into this entire system? So when publishing 2D drawings, you still work on a very similar type of system workflow, as you can see, which is very closely to the other one. So it just depends on what your company's needs are. Now, for our case, as civil engineers, we could also use 2D drawings if you just want to issue the drawings itself. But these settings are actually very adequate more to documents and build inside of BIM360. Now, this is not the pinnacle. The one that we actually are interested in our civil 3D environment, is actually having this type of functionality. We are rather interested in the 3D model plus the 2D drawings. And this can be utilized using either of these 4 packages of BIM docs, design, coordinate, and build. So this is actually the most strongest point of BIM360, and that's actually what we're going to discuss for today. So just to make it very clear, in the previous selection, I am going to today explain BIM360 design. So this is the package which is more utilized for us as civil infrastructure engineers. The reason why I'm saying is because we have a few key benefits inside of this package. So what are the key benefits? Well, we've got direct access to BIM360 design and civil 3D, as well as we have we have the ability to create and access data shortcuts in our BIM360 design package. So everybody in the same company or external company can be part of this, and they will have access to this data for data shortcuts, and we can set up permissions as we go along for certain people and certain requirements. Then finally, we can also communicate project issues. So this is very critical when it comes to civil design and the guys working on site. We need to communicate, and actually BIM360 design actually allows us to do inside of BIM360 the actual issue, and can be resolved, and proper decision making can be selected. The same for publishing the surface to Civil 3D to Revit. Yes, we can actually do this now in the BIM360 design platform. So I can actually go and publish surfaces from Civil 3D to Revit, so the Revit users can actually use them. Then we've got our Revit cloud work sharing with different disciplines. So this is very critical. It comes tying back into the publishing of the surfaces. So if I need to publish my surfaces with an architect or a structural engineer, that will always have the newly updated versions, because all of this is cloud-based. Nothing is stored on your local base anymore. It's all in the cloud, which is collaborated to everybody, and so on and so forth. As well as we can also go and do quick compare files in the BIM cloud space. So let's say, for example, you don't have any of the software packages, but you just want to see what the changes are being made to the models or even the drawings. Now, this can be actually utilized inside of BIM360 design. So you have that capabilities directly at your fingertips when it comes to just overviewing elements instead of doing any modifications. Then finally, when all said is done, we can actually communicate all of these final designs into InfraWorks and even Navisworks to give it even more a powerful type of look. So just to give you guys a proper video of how this is being achieved, we can quickly go through this, and then you will get a better feel on how it will practically work. So collaborating is key at all stages of the civil project. Now with BIM360 design, you can access files and store them onto your BIM360 directly from the start menu. Simply navigate to the drawing file inside of the cloud environment and you have access to them. So everybody can actually go and view those elements. Then Civil 3D users can now also create and access data shortcuts that we call DRES inside of the BIM360 design, as well as to republish or design data. Now, this allows the data to be accessed by internal and external project members, collaborating and sharing data on the same project for a common data platform. BIM360 design gives the users a more efficient way to communicate design problems that arise via and review when an issue is created. All project members are then affected by the issue, gets notified, and can take action accordingly. This example requests that an on-site detention pond needs to be built. Once the design changes have been made, this issue can be closed and tracked for project progress inside of the BIM360 docs environment. Once the design surface is approved, you can actually go and publish these surfaces to BIM360 from inside of Civil 3D. This provides cloud-based access for Revit users to utilize the surface in Revit model, meaning that multiple people can work on the same model at the same project. You can track your design changes, an alternative by using a file compare inside of BIM360. The side-to-side comparison files help to visually identify any difference in the project design. Now, this can be done for Revit models and the drawings itself, as well as now your Civil 3D. Your Civil 3D models and drawings can also be viewed in the same sense, and the actual comparison as well. Now, this final design can actually communicate to all stakeholders by using InfraWorks to collaborate. The InfraWorks model can be published to the BIM360 Design Cloud and shared to everybody involved in this project. This is a highly detailed model that communicates the intent of project as the conceptual level all the way to the fully designed stage. So these are the main characteristics and overview of what we can actually achieve inside of BIM360 design with our ASC collection. Now the fun does not end here. We still have got plenty of more to show for the rest of the week. So if you guys are interested, you are more than welcome to check out our next webinars by following this link. We will also publish this link inside of the chat box. So something I would recommend you guys having a look at is especially for tomorrow and on Friday. So we've got BIM360 build and assets for the guys that wants to know maybe more on a construction side, as well as I would advise you guys to go look at the BIM360 coordinate and how we can utilize to connect to other different platforms. So I would advise you to look into those website of ours, and don't just limit yourself on the next webinars. There are already previous webinars that you guys can have a look at, especially if you are interested in some of our City Series Civil webinars. You still have the ability to go and have a look at those collaborations ones as well. They are a bit more practical and more defined if you are interested in those elements. Then finally, we also still are busy with our call to action. We've got our online BIM bootcamp, which you guys can actually go and have a look at. We will also publish this learning platform inside of the chat, which you can go and see all of our learning tabs which we've created to have a better understanding of how the BIM environment works. And then finally, we're still here in the COVID-19 situation, but our call to action is still always BIM360 Hub setup. So we will assist you still with you want your BIM360 setup, which is for free according to Autodesk. I have to mention it's only pre-limited till the end of this month because of the COVID coming to an end, hopefully. So you guys are more than welcome to look into those elements. And then, ladies and gentlemen, we get to the fun part, which I always enjoy, and it's the Q&A session. So if you've got any questions regarding BIM360 and any questions regarding to civil or the infrastructure, you're more than welcome to quickly and ask those questions, and I'll see if I can answer all of them. So let me just open up my chat Q&A section. There we go. So there is a question from Stain after this webinar. Will it be available to see this again? Yes, it will. We actually will provide you a link to our YouTube channel. So it will actually showcase there for rewatching. So you're more than welcome to have a look at that. Okay, so Peter actually has a very good question. Please, can you explain the difference using the plans and project section within the BIM360 folder structure? So Peter, basically the difference between the plans and projects section is basically you just manufacturing the location of where you set up your drawings. So drawings can actually be placed on project as well as in plans. So it's more just preference at the end of the day. So that's basically the main difference. There's no unique ones. It's just trying to make sure to navigate between documentations inside of BIM360. Okay, there's a very interesting question regarding from Dirk. Can you use Civil Designer program with BIM360 docs? So Dirk, what you will be allowed to do is with those elements, you will only be allowed to publish them. So for example, if you've got your dot files or civil type of designer project files, you will only be able to publish them to the BIM360. You will not be able to view them in 3D, which as for civil 3D, you will actually have the abilities to see them. So there's another question from Michael. Does BIM360 cater for all file formats? So Michael, you need to be a little bit more specific regarding what type of file formats, because some BIM360 design actually does have the capabilities to bring in a lot of Microsoft elements. For example, you've got your Words, your documents, your PDF files, your text files, your CSV files. You can actually go to the software dynamic where you need to go publish DWGs. You can bring in your InfraWorks models. You can bring in your CAD models. You can bring in some of your Navisworks models. You can also go and import external data like KML files, but they will just be placed. They won't be viewed in 3D. So it just depends on which file format you are referring to. Okay, there's another question from Willem. Can you use civil site model to do an arch platforms? We just need to clarify a little bit on that. The civil site model. Sorry, Willem, can you just explain a little bit more in depth regarding what you define under the civil site model? This is like, for example, if I design a platform design inside of Civil 3D and basically publish it into BIM360, or are you talking about in a sense of bringing in a specific site from Civil 3D and then modifying it in BIM360 design? I just need a little bit more clarification on that one. Oh, okay, architectural pad cutting. So if you do actually publish the surfaces inside of it, you can only do edits onto it inside of Revit. You won't be able to do it directly inside of Revit directly if you just bring in a topographic surface. Okay, so there's another question from Adnan. Do your Civil 3D models and designs get uploaded as you work, and how does it affect the performance? Or does it upload to the cloud once you've completed your design? So, Adnan, very good question. So how it works is you save as your systems inside of Civil 3D to the cloud. Now, as soon as you say save, every time it updates the versions. So, for example, I can just quickly share our BIM360 docs management. So this is basically the folder structure that I have. And I've got two files inside of my civil models. One is the IWM file, which is my InfraWorks models. And I've got my DWG model. So basically, if I just upload or save them to the BIM360 docs, it will remember that path. And every time if I save my drawing, it will actually provide its new version inside. Now, regarding the question of how long the performance and how much it affects this, it's depending on your internet connection. So you can actually work offline as well. You have that ability. So as soon as you get to a stable working station, you can just simply upload those data, and it will automatically sync as soon as you save your Civil 3D drawing. Then there's another question yet again from Dirk. Can you use the IFC files uploads for Civil 3D? Dirk, yes, you can. You can actually bring in that IFC file into the Docs BIM Manager. But like I said, you won't be able to view it. It's going to be there for distributing to the fellow engineers. That will do. When I'm just talking about 3D dynamic, I'm talking about serious stuff. I'm talking about if I select a drawing, you've got an option of saying the 2D views as well as the 3D model. If I select, for example, inside of BIM360 Docs, I'm not going to go too much in depth, but you can actually view this thing inside of Civil or in BIM360 Docs in 3D. So you do have that capabilities to do them inside. Okay, let me just move down to the list. So there are another question from Michael. My models are too big. Is there a limit file size that can be uploaded? Well, Michael, from what we gather up to this point, we don't have limits because Civil 3D design elements are a lot bigger than the basic Revit structures because it has more geo-reference data, for example, CSV files and coordinates and text files. So at this point, we don't have limits in bringing in those models. Then we've got another question from Michael once again. Does Modena have different implementations for different size companies, or is it limited to users? Well, we do have different implementations for different companies. One of our salesperson will just get a hold of you, and then we will do a proper implementation with you, Michael. So we will be in touch regarding that question. So there's another interesting question from, apologies if I mispronounce your name, Aversini, sorry. I'm so apologize. I'm not good with names. The question is, where do all the versions get saved and for how long? So the previous versions gets always saved to your BIM360 design. So just to go back a step, let me just close this down. All of your previous versions does get saved over here, and you have the ability to go and specify which one you want. So it's always saved to the BIM360 design documents until you decide to delete it. That's basically how long it will stay. So I'm just going to check if I see more questions, if I might have missed yours. Okay, it seems like we've got all of the questions answered. Okay, we've got another question. Is the cloud service secure? My boss is very paranoid when it comes to being hacked. So yet again, Michael, yes, it is actually very secure. That's the big benefits of BIM360. It has a very secure security inside. And remember, you still have got control in who you allow to the system. Now, you can actually appoint people to them with their email, but you can also take away their privileges. So for technical example, let's say, for example, you've got a contractor that works with you and he's only probationed for 2 weeks. He needs to see 2 weeks of just the drawings. You can have him actually to your system. And for those 2 weeks, he can see all of your drawings. And after his probation has ended, his job is done, you kick him out. Simple as that. Then he won't access in it, and then you won't have ability to come to your BIM360 at all anymore. It will be something of the past, and then you can move on with your life. So I'll just give you a few more seconds. I see there are still questions coming in. So yet again, here's another question. Do I need to buy cloud credits when working in the cloud? It depends on what you're doing, Michael, yet again. If you're running cloud credits for certain elements, so some of them do require cloud credits. It's just depending on what element you're specifically asking for. Typical example would be we use cloud credits for certain elements inside of our packages. So they are very unique. So it just depends on what information of cloud credits you're actually asking about. Oh no, sorry, I'm reading it wrong. Apologies for that. I read it wrong. Do I need to buy cloud credits when you work in the cloud? No. You don't need cloud credits. The only way cloud credits actually comes in is when you're going to software specific. Like for example, modification of infraworks and roads and stuff like that. But not in the cloud. Using Recap Pro to do the scans and point clouds. I think, yeah, that costs cloud credits, but I don't think it's inside of BIM360. I think it's part of Recap itself, if I'm not mistaken. I can just follow up on that to make 100% sure, but my understanding, I think it's just in the scans. It's not in the cloud space. But I can actually just confirm all that. Okay, guys, looks like that's all of the main questions. So there's another questions, just one more. So there is a question regarding Dirk. So Insight is included in the platform, but not free. Dirk, I'm going to need to follow up on that one because I've not worked that much with the Insight, but I think it's just part of one of the specific packages that you actually buy, I can just follow up and we can email you directly on those details. Apologies, but I can follow up on that for you. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, from my side, I want to thank you. And like I mentioned, there are still a lot of additional webinars for this week, which you guys can have a look at. And until next time, from my side, guys, be safe out there and take care. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy your day.